Hi, this is Dave, another Dave Campbell short, and this is going to be a reading of my second vision. It's titled The Second of Seven Visions, and this one is The Cows and the Desert. This vision is most peculiar, but perhaps one of the most telling regarding a pattern of my life and the spiritual overtones and mysteries I was blessed to endure. I was in a large pasture that had been mowed down, and I was there marching along with a group of Navy seamen in uniform. But strangely, I was not in uniform. I was at the end of the row, marching in perfect order and in step with my peers, and then oddly unable to keep in step, and eventually dropping out of the march. I was then alongside another group of people, civilians, again marching along with them in decent order and in time with what they were doing, and then finding myself becoming alienated and later pushed out. I then found myself walking in a large pasture and coming toward a herd of brown and white cows feeding in a pasture of tall grass. The cows soon blocked me in and crowded me until I fell to the ground beneath them. Then the cows began urinating and dropping major amounts of manure, and I was pinned beneath their legs on my back, and the level of manure and cow urine was rising and getting deeper and deeper. I struggled desperately to move my arms and legs, but was pinned and just had to endure the stink and wet and awful feeling of being hemmed in. At long last, the cows began to separate and amble off, and I floated up and drifted into a deep river of cow dung and cow urine. There I was, floating along, just barely able to keep my toes occasionally on the pasture beneath me. I seemed to be floating progressively and slowly along, and at that point just felt a feeling of relief that I was no longer feeling alienated and pinned underneath the crazy cows. Suddenly, it was as though a dam ahead of me burst, and I was swept down a hill with all that fertilizer. At the moment of the feeling of a rush, I was also given a tremendous feeling of peace and enthusiasm. The slurry of cow fertilizer and I were splashing into a huge open desert where the sky was extremely blue and the sand was just very sandy, like any desert you might imagine. I turned and looked over my left shoulder and noticed that a man from at that time where I worked was behind me in the slurry, and he looked like he was at peace too. Okay, now this is the interpretation that I wrote down. A continual direction seemed to be indicated in this vision. I began in a direction seemingly from northwest to southeast, and when I was marching along with the seamen and with the civilians, my feeling was uncomfortable, like I had to feign that I enjoyed being with them. Although I was able to keep time in the marches and proved to be of use to them, over the long haul I became alienated from both groups, and they became to me indifferent, as though I was not needed there. The cows blocking me in and flooding me in fertilizer are the spiritual indication of what happened while I was marching in different groups. Each time I have become somewhat established in any group, I find myself being unusually pushed around, cast down, and basically treated like crap, even though I have always found ways to accelerate in these groups and end up receiving awards for high levels of performance. The accumulation of the crap I have taken and the humiliation to go with it is going to collect as my greatest form of teaching that has prepared me to go into a desolate area and thrive. In that slurry of fertilizer, I will be like a planted seed. The desert indicates that in any type of environment, I will be able to thrive. The man who was there in the slurry with me indicates I won't be alone. There will be others who will eventually be there who can relate to what I have gone through and can support me when I come to a stark environment to bring good things to it. The tremendous peace that came as I was flushed into the desert indicates that Jesus is the one who has overseen my progress and has ensured there will be plenty of fertilizer to prosper my growth, even in the desert that is coming. The blue sky was also a sign of the peace of Christ, who is above all. I do think that the desert in that vision indicated a great challenge ahead, but one for which I have been painstakingly prepared. So that's it for this video. I'm going to read another one, and I'll post these later today. Thanks.